Hi, Stephanie. I am going to go over the changes that I've made to your website. I just keep going and going and going, so I figured it was probably time to stop and go ahead and give you something to look at. I know that one of the main issues with the site was the responsiveness. I know you wanted it to look better across different devices, especially when you get into mobile, like your iPads and your iPhones and other smartphones. So basically, that's how everything was built, was with responsive in mind. Keep in mind that what you may see on your phone is not necessarily what somebody may see who has an Android phone. It all depends on the phone size and the phone screen size, what type of device it is and everything. And there's no way on earth to design for every single last phone out there. Plus phones are constantly changing. So basically you just have to do the best you can. Um, so anyway, let's get into some of the changes that I've made on the site. Um, Going to your homepage, uh, I know one of the things that I wanted to do was get rid of the hero slider image that you had at the top. That just really doesn't work well on mobile at all. Plus, it's kind of falling out of favor. People are using it less and less. Generally, studies show that the average viewer looks at the first slide and they don't look at the rest. So it's kind of pointless to have your website take all that bandwidth, make your homepage slower loading because it has to load up all those slides for something that people aren't even going to look at. So what I've done is replace it with a hero image. And in that image, we have a small message with a call to action. Call for a free consultation. I know you also wanted to put your pictures in there, which given the type of industry that you're in, I totally agree with that. I only have the two images of you guys. If you have other images that you would like to incorporate in the site that were professionally done, I'm not talking, snapshots, I'm talking good professional images. Please feel free to send them over and we will see what we can do about incorporating those in there. So starting with the header, up here, what I did is before you just had the phone number, I wrapped in some words to try to make it stand out a little bit more. I also changed the font size a little bit so that it doesn't get lost up in the header area here. On your logo, I think you'll notice that your original logo was a tall logo. I've made this a wide logo. The reason I did that is because the tall logo did not really fit within your theme correctly. And I wanted to do what was called a sticky header, which sticky menus, which basically what that means is as people scroll, the menu stays with them. So they see it no matter where they are on the page. And the other logo, when you scrolled like that, you see how small it gets when you start scrolling. The other one got so tiny you couldn't even make out the words. So a wide logo just works better for this particular website. So what I did with the menus is I know that was another area where we had issues on mobile. We condensed them down to just a few main menus, and then we've got other menus underneath them. But like, for instance, on your About Us, we have a page for each of you. This is what a regular drop-down menu would look like. But when we get over to areas of practice, not only do you have a drop-down menu, but you also have third-tier menus, which, as you know, made for very, very long scrolling, not just on mobile, but on desktop too, and it made it really inconvenient for people. So basically what I did under your areas of practice is I went with what was called a mega menu. And with a mega menu, basically it breaks down each of those submenus that you had with each of the links underneath them. And I've turned it into basically 3 columns across, 3 columns down, 3 columns across. So now people can easily see the different areas, and you have links to all of these pages that you wanted people to read. Okay, so scrolling down, as you can see, here's the hero image area that I came up with. I didn't really have any wording. I'm not sure what you wanted to put on here, so I just came up with some on my own. This can always be changed if you don't like it or there's something different that you want to put in there. But basically what you want to do is keep it short. You don't want to put a lot of long text in this area. Just keep it short. Make sure you have a call to action. I tied in a background image to the message itself, which I thought went really well with your industry. If you'll notice that the background image is still watermarked, that's because I don't license the image to the project until the client gives me an okay on that. And if you like the image and you want me to license it for your website, I will go ahead and make that happen. Okay, so scrolling down, you can see this, the sticky menu stays with you. As you scroll down, the next section, I just have a call out, nice and bold, and it covers the different areas that you service. And this is also done in a header tag font, so that's really good for search engines because they'll see that Hillsborough, Pasco, Pinellas, and Hernando are all done with a header tag, so that'll make it stand out a little bit more. And then we get down to your areas of practice. I thought it was still important to include your areas of practice on the homepage because that's something people look for. But before we had the blurbs, we had the 3 blurbs across and then 2 blurbs down. So we had the 6 blurbs that took up a lot of space. So when you were scrolling on mobile, it became really unwieldy. So what I've done is I've replaced that with an accordion menu. So basically what happens here is if somebody wants to find out more about your particular area of practice, like let's say, for instance, domestic battery, if they click on this, the blurb is there, and then they can click on read more, which will take them to the page that your original blurbs took them to. And only one opens at a time, so that keeps it nice and convenient and nice and condensed. Over here, I've moved your blog posts up a little bit, and instead of the grid layout that you had before, I went with what's called a magazine layout. This makes them look a little more uniform, not as much text, makes it a lot easier to scroll, especially on a small device. When they click on it, they can go directly to the blog post. And this is all of your categories and your most recent, I think I did 8, most recent 8 there. And we can always change that number too if you'd like. And then the next section has your images, a little bit about you. When you click on it, it will take you to your page. Your page has also been restyled, as has Dan's for your About Us page. So I'm just going to go back. And then we have your free case evaluation form right here on the right-hand side to encourage people to contact you. The next section has your About Us blurb. People can click here and that will take them to the About Us page. That page has also been restyled a little bit, and I will show you that shortly. And then underneath that, it's always good to have some social proof. So here's some client testimonials that I found for you online from Google and Facebook. And basically I've incorporated them into a slider so that it constantly slides and people can see what other people have said about you. And then in the footer area here, as we talked about earlier this week, I went ahead and put all of the locations that you service right here, made it a little bit smaller so it lines up with everything else. We've got both of your office locations, your different areas of practice, and I made sure to include the word lawyer or attorney behind those because those are keyword phrases that people may be searching for. They may be searching for a felony lawyer in Wesley Chapel. So both of those phrases are on this page, so it certainly can't hurt. And then your social links have been moved out from underneath your office locations over into the 4th area here. At the bottom here, I got rid of the social icons that were down here at the bottom. They were very, very small, very hard to read, and it just doesn't make sense given that we have the social right up here, which stays with you no matter where you are on the page, and we also have your social links in the footer area too. So it just, to have them down underneath, again, didn't make a whole lot of sense. Once I removed those, I went ahead, I centered up your copyright information, and I also changed your copyright date to reflect the new year. So as I said, I've restyled a couple of the pages as well. The About Us page, I restyled a little bit differently. And one of the main things that I did is I restyled your sidebars. So now all of your pages that have a sidebar will have a sidebar that looks like this. And for your blog posts, they will have a sidebar that looks similar, but it's different. And these sidebars can always be changed. And when they change, they will change across all of the pages. So that makes it really convenient to put things that you want to put in the sidebar and still have it show up on all of the pages without having to change each individual page over and over again. For the main area, I restyled it a little bit just to make it a little more appealing. And I included both of your offices with maps and a call to action, send us a message online. As you can see, the sidebar includes your free case evaluation form, your office locations, your phone number, a little bit about you, each of the attorneys, and then when you click on Read More, you can go directly to their page. So for instance, if I go to your page, we'll see the newly restyled About page for you. Dan's also looks the same. So that's just been fixed up a little bit. You still have your sidebar that shows up. And then an example of a page without the sidebar would be, for instance, your Contact Us page. Don't really need the sidebar there because the Contact Us page has your office locations and your form, so not much point in putting it there. So let's go over to the Contact Us page. And this is the newly styled page. As you can see, it's got your form, it's got your different office locations, as well as maps. And I redid the case results page as well, just to make it a little bit easier to scroll, a little bit easier to get to the different court cases that you're talking about. And on your blog, if we go to a blog post, we are going to see the blog sidebar has been changed up. We now have a search so people can search your blog. We have your article categories. Now the article categories, you have a lot of these. So what I did is I put a drop-down menu so that we didn't have just endless words, one right after another, which people would have to keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. With the drop-down, they can just go to the area that they, if they want to read articles about drug possession, they can go to that and it will pull up the articles that have to do with drug possession. Then we have your recent articles, your free case evaluation, the Meet Our Attorneys. I'm not sure if you want to leave that on the blog post or not. Just let me know either way. I think it's kind of good. Alrighty. Now, under your areas of practice, I didn't do all of these pages, obviously, because I ran out of time, but I did restyle all of the pages that were under domestic battery just to kind of make them look a little bit prettier. I know they're very heavy on text, but I've added the fancy header here, call to action, and like if we go to this page, it's just styled up a little bit. Okay, and I know one of your concerns was mobile, so let's go ahead and hop over and look at how it looks on mobile. So switching over to mobile views, as I said, mobile is really interesting because while we do the best we can to design for the widest variety of devices that are out there, you have to understand that not every device is going to show things exactly the same way. What shows on an iPhone 4 is going to be obviously different from an iPhone 5. An iPhone 5 is going to be different from an iPhone 6 Plus. All of those are going to be different from an Android. You have Androids that have 4.7-inch screens, and you have Androids that have 5.5-inch screens. You have tablets. You have Kindle Fires, which is considered a mobile device. So you do the best you can, try to design for the widest variety. But what happens when you view the site on mobile, for instance, this is for an iPhone 5. This is if you turn the iPhone 5 sideways. Now we're getting into what it looks like on an iPhone 6. This is just the standard 6, not a Plus even. That's the 6 sideways. Now we get into what it looks like on an iPhone 6 Plus, which is, of course, is the larger screen iPhone. On mobile, you have your mobile menu. The mobile menu now pops out, and instead of having a long list to scroll, which never quite worked right, we just have your 5 main areas. And then what happens is when you click on area of practice, you get into your different areas. You click down, and then they can choose to see, if they want to read about bond reductions, they would just click there, and it would take them to the bond reductions page. So the mobile menu definitely works a bit better now without all of those extra menu items. Now we're scrolling into, this would be an iPhone 6 turned sideways, which is generally how I view things from my iPhone. And then we're getting into like an Android Nexus. Then we get into our tablets. This would be an iPad in portrait mode, which is still considered mobile. And then getting into an iPad in landscape mode, which I don't know about everybody else, but generally that's how I browse on my iPad. This looks very much like the original desktop version. The only exception is it has the mobile menu, because if we had a long menu, it would get cut off and it would go into the logo, obviously. So it has the pop-out mobile menu. So that gives you an idea of what the website looks like on mobile. The best thing to do is to check it out on some devices in person. This does a really good job of emulating, but like I said, every device is going to be different. And going back to the main site, I believe that's it for now. I look forward to hearing your feedback and hope you have a great day.